Right? I am so impressed today. Okay, here we go, everybody. This is Fran Lewis. You're stuck with me today. Dante Therese is here, and
Hi.
her book, The Base Book 3. And this, I usually give the books away or not, because if you're going ahead with it with without moving everything, I want to make sure I have it.
Thank you. I
And I'm
appreciate
going to make sure people buy the book. Now, the summary of the general plot. How did you start this and explain the base? And this was really scary. Venus is wicked. Oh, but you're the lover.
Yeah, Venus is someone that we love to hate. She is in all of the books. It's a trilogy, and Venus is we meet her
Okay.
in book one, and then we see her again doing her wickedness in book two, and and then you have book three as well, which recently came back, and then what can I say? Venus is at it again, and so basically, the base is a series that, if you are a fantastic scientist, if you are ahead of your time and you have these fantastical ideas, and if you are in the military, instead of just transferring you to any base, someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and saying, okay, you are going to go to the base. And that's where they send you, where they send the top elite scientists to do super, super top secret projects, but they have to work under duress. They have to work with these spies and thieves and evil, evil villains, super villains like Miss Venus, who are trying with all of the tools they have at their disposal to steal these new top secret inventions.
You have to love her though. She's got. I'll tell you. Could think of a few people I'd like to see her on.
Oh, totally. I mean, well, she fights with a non-traditional arsenal. I mean,
Yeah.
and so do the scientists in the book. I mean, because they have expertise in these very vastly different areas. But Venus is just rotten to the core.
Well, I
And
can't. If you're gonna do the movie, are these guys gonna be in it?
I hope so.
They're
We
gorgeous.
just
Let me tell you. You just want to look at them.
well, we just filmed a few scenes the other day in an abandoned mall, actually. There's plenty of those out everywhere, but also in here in the Rust Belt. And independently, they are extremely talented. But when you put them together, they have this chemistry, and they have the same chemistry that they have in the book, where they're sort of playing practical jokes on each other and one-upping each other and
I
everything.
love it.
It's a lot of fun.
I want to be the mother. I want to have some fun. I love this. So this was really cool. How did
Thank
she
you.
create each part of the master garden? And what is the secret garden room? Oh, that's so interesting. I was sorry that there was no picture of it.
Well, Venus has one of the things that drives Venus is that she wants it all and then she wants more.
Yeah.
And so she lives in this very, very elite community. And if only the neighbors there knew what her real occupation was, because they're all upstanding lawyers and top notch accountants, and, you know, they're the elite. And Venus fits into their world because she has lots of material things and such, but she's not one of them. I mean, she's actually someone that they kind of wouldn't want in their neighborhood. But she has so much envy. And
Yeah, I know.
when someone redoes their kitchen, she has to redo hers. And when someone redoes something on the outside of their house, she has to do it twice as good because she has to be bigger and better than anyone. So when we meet her in book three, she is masterminding the ultimate garden. And and once she figures out how much that's all going to cost, she realizes, oh, I have to get a big heist happening fast.
That's what I love about her. You
Hmm.
know, I know. I learned that. My father taught me. If you want to do something, do it yourself and get it done. And
Yeah.
don't ask anybody to help you. And everybody gets to know, like, why don't you? It has to be done right away. and it's really
Well,
bad. I mean, I get a book and I get like, oh my God, the author wants me to read this, even though it's most of the ones I'm getting are due next year. I read them already.
oh, okay. Yep.
If the post office would only bring the ones that are due this year, that would help. But
Yeah.
Venus is great. So you describe her on pages 16 to 18 and her parties and everything. She does everything. I like her
Yes.
though.
Yes. She is twisted, very, very twisted, and very, very calculating. And then she also wants it all and more. So I mean, if the house next to her is an orthopedic surgeon
Yeah.
and who also has investment banker for a wife, and they have made gobs of money, and they have this castle. She just
Uh,
feels she needs to have twice the castle. You know, she's got something to prove, and but she's wicked though, and you know, and then she's someone that we love to hate because you know, she's just got such a twisted little side to her, and she wants it all.
well, I was so glad you didn't kill her off yet.
No, no, we can't, because if you look around on planet Earth, there are
Yeah,
villains,
yeah, I
and
know. I know
and
a whole bunch of them.
yeah, yeah, and they walk amongst us and stuff. So the thought of like not having Venus around, and even and it's enjoyable for me to have her still around out there somewhere, because if someone gets a little too crazy or out of control, you could say, "Wow, that's a Venus right there." Yeah.
Now we have a good character. Who is Becca? What's her past and now her present? And why the incident in the car? And then we get to the good part. The kid's back.
Yay. Okay, so Becca actually is, and there are many times in the life of Venus where she is faced with an adversary. And Becca is someone who remade herself from scratch. Um, she wasn't always perfect. She made some mistakes, but she built herself back up. And so she knows both sides of the world. Like, she's been a part of the problem, and now she's part of the solution. And so she is really a formidable opponent for Venus, because she can anticipate some of her moves, and she knows some of the same players that Venus does. So Venus is in trouble.
Now this is really the interesting part of the book.
Hmm.
Original. First of all, for those of you that don't have never read this, wait till you meet these kids. You want them. They are the
Yes.
most, oh my God, you listen to the news and you wonder why the kids out there are horrible, committing crimes everywhere, the shootings and stuff. And then you get children like this that are forced to live in an environment that have no choice. So, Nick, our child narrator is back on the Tears Plus Wire Cake. And what a psychic. And why does her mother bring up the prophet? I like that guy.
Well, the profit is what every community had before we had like Ring doorbells and
Yeah.
cameras on our houses and stuff like that. Every community had and should have someone who is, just kind of watching, keeping an eye on things and being like, okay, what is that strange car doing here? And, something's not right. I need to look into it.
Yeah.
And back in the day, we called them like Nosy or Nebby, or Nebbish or something. But they really did a lot of good. And so since the book series takes place in 1976, before we had all these spy toys and everything, the prophet was really worth his weight in gold. I mean, he kept an eye out on things, and he could tell if
Yeah.
something was happening or about to happen.
I love this guy.
Yeah, I do too.
It's really sad that in my neighborhood there's nobody. They don't even have a
Mm.
temple that you could go to anymore. Where I grew up, they don't have the temple's not there anymore. It's now some kind of Islamic something. Yeah,
Well,
it's
we have
sad. We
we
don't
have
have
a lot of
anything.
repurposed
Yeah,
churches and temples and stuff out here too. It seems that people, I think a lot of it was the pandemic that made people turn
yeah,
against gathering in groups. And,
Yeah.
but
It's it.
I,
There's no non-denominational either. So
right.
what was the emergency on page 36 and 37? And then we get to another bad character that's really cool too.
Well, we actually have a couple of emergencies in the
Yeah,
book. And because the book kind of is a roller coaster, it goes
yeah.
between these, because people are trying to steal military weapons, and they sometimes do, but they don't. The thing is if you don't know how to operate these things, do you really want that in the back of your car? I mean, that's where the spies get a little stupid because they're so full of themselves and everything. They say, "Wow, look what I got," and then it's like, okay, well, now what are you going to do with that thing? I mean, what would you do if that thing had a mind of its own and could take over your car or could blow up or something? I mean, they don't think about those things because they're so like,
No,
you know, impressed with themselves as being thieves.
I'm excited because it's actually telling me that it's taping. We've had
Yay!
some we've had some problems
Tech
and some
gremlins.
sound problems and some people couldn't get on problems and some people got on and I couldn't see them. Thank God I got an email the other day. Yesterday was canceled. The author, don't ask,
Oh,
right before the show decided he couldn't do it, so I moved him. It took forever. But thank God Rest Team is happy today. Now, let's
mhm.
talk about my other favorite character, Metal Mike and Venus. Oh, he's so evil.
Well, he's evil, but he's also a little impulsive,
Yeah.
and and Venus is super calculating. If she's going to be involved in something or if she's going to do something, she
Yeah.
wants to research every last bit of it before she's involved. And Metal Mike can be like somewhat impulsive, and he'll be like, "Oh, and he's also, a bit full of himself. Like, wow, that's easy money. I can do this. And as we all know, the devil is in the detail. And Venus doesn't really. Um, she was so this time she sort of made a bit of a like she was so in love with the idea of one-upping her neighbors and getting more and more that she didn't really think everything through, maybe. Like perhaps he didn't plan for every little possible thing
Yeah.
to go wrong. Hmm.
Well, you know what? If it's too perfect, you get bored.
Yeah, yeah, and I think she also took for granted that she could wing it because she
Yeah.
picked up the bradicchio, the hyper confidence of Metal Mike, and you know, and she thought, oh, if he's confident and if he doesn't see anything wrong, sure, I could do this.
Well, here we go. This is really the crux of it. What is a vector and why does she want it?
The vector was that first invention from book one, and she craves it, absolutely craves it, because the vector um, is what the three scientists on the were told to create. And it's something that even nowadays is somewhat of its time, the idea of it. It's not a drone that flies. It's a drone that is a land drone and also submersible. And because of what it is built out of, it is very difficult to see with the naked eye in conflict. And so the military is all over this because the military really wants, every military in the world wants to have an army without soldiers, because soldiers can sometimes shift in their loyalty. Soldiers can sometimes be double agents.
Mm,
And but if you have a robotic soldier, it can be completely you. And not only that, you can program it to self-destruct if something else is, trying to take its loyalty. And so armies all around the world, especially in the past century, the leaders and stuff have wanted armies that would be robotic and would be completely loyal.
I'm just trying to get these to print out again. They're not happy.
Mm.
My printer is on. It's on, people. Okay. Now, this is what is the power of the vector? And the vector will be part of the heist. And that's what's really scary.
Well, the vector has so many capabilities, especially since it's difficult to see, and it's completely obedient. It it can multiply, and so you will get an army from
Mm,
that within a short time. And so that is another reason why it's so desirable. But let me see, the vector, if you she really wanted it, and there have been people who stole it but then had drop and run. And
mm,
so Mike alerted her to the fact that there was a vector available, that they had located it, and that it had been lost in an original heist. And so that's what made Venus abandon her sense of caution and go full forward in the new heist. And that might not have been a smart decision.
mm. So now we've got this scene. This is really exciting. This is really different. The scene with the printer. And tell us about the psychic and the prophet. This is so cool that he can steal wallets anywhere. That
Well,
is so cool.
against let me see, there at one point, the prophet and others on the base encounter a psychic, and he seriously does not belong near a military research lab. Scientists and the psychics are sort of, people have always viewed them as complete opposites. Like science, they've always said that science is something you really have to study on and stuff, and they don't really lend a lot of credence to psychics. So it's
Mm.
interesting that one of them wound up in their orbit. Like, how did you get here?
Yeah.
But this particular psychic um, is actually a bit of a bad character who perhaps supplements his income by doing bad things. And people think he's a psychic, but maybe he's an imposter. You'll have to see.
That's
Yep.
scary. Now we get to the good part. Where's Venus? Yeah, who is Chad? And why is he just stuck in hell? And who are the demons in control? And I was like, I have a few people I'd like to send there.
Well, it looks like Chad was the imposter scientist who was passing himself off as a psychic. And
Now,
throughout the series, we get to see hell because, like any author, we get to kill people. Isn't it fun to kill people when you're an author? I mean,
yeah,
we won't admit it, but it is. It's fun to kill people. But what I do in the book series is I sort of explore where do they go after they die if they're
really.
really people. And so actually, the really bad people in the series, they get to go to what I imagine hell would be like.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I imagine hell in a sort of silly way that, hell is maybe where your ex is, and you have to eat that horrible ham sandwich that he gave you every single day, the one that you hated the most out of any food, and that you had to share a cell with.
It seemed almost like a real place. You could picture it.
Yeah,
And
well,
I didn't feel sorry for Chad at all. Too bad.
no, it's like, dig in. Would you like fries with that? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had a lot of fun making hell, and all of the things that would sort of go along with it. I definitely don't glorify it. It's not a destination that you'd like to go, but but it is very silly.
Now, Venus and Mike, poor thing. That happens to them, and I cracked up laughing. I go, "Oh my God, is she going to really remain? I mean, she's really smart."
She is really smart, and she has learned so well how to make others
Yeah.
take the fall from. And so that's just something she's good at. I mean, she's always good at pointing people in the other direction and things like that. And so, when their heist encounters, we'll just say a little difficulty,
Mm,
she's exceptional at um, just trying to point people in the other direction.
mm.
And
That is even better.
yeah, well, she likes camouflage. She likes, distracting people. There's so many um, villains, even present day, out in our present world, who are really good at creating a distraction and having everyone look at the distraction, but then they're not paying attention to what the villain is really doing.
Now we have to get to the important part, the guys in the book. What is the
Mhm.
job of the team of the base, and who is Kiko, and what does he regard DNA? Why DNA? Because the main people are those guys that are in
Yeah.
charge, and I really like them, and everybody could use a couple of those.
Well, the three scientists are tremendously principled. Those are the three main core
Yeah,
scientists at the lab. They're very principled, they have very high ethics, and they're raising their kids the same way. And and every now and then the military gives them a new scientist to work with and a new project to work on. And so, so the variables just keep changing. Like every couple of weeks, you get a new scientist, and
right.
new scientist, you get a new assignment, a new thing you have to create with that scientist. And so Kiko, the scientist, actually does DNA reverse engineering, which is
That's
something
different.
that, yeah, very different.
That's different.
Yeah. And so from a DNA sample, you can create some vague sort of sketches of what a perpetrator would look like. And you can get a lot of information from that. And so what Kiko does is, and it's a tremendously at this point, and as you can imagine, in 1976, where the series takes place,
Yeah.
it's an expensive thing. It's not something that will be readily available to a lot of police departments. We hope it will in the future because it can really lead to a lot of information and discovery and really help. But we all know that the military has a lot
Yeah.
of tools before they go out to the civilian law enforcement and stuff like that. So Kiko is instrumental in DNA reverse engineering. And because they are seriously on the case of a perpetrator who left, made a mistake and left a little evidence behind. I wonder who it could be.
And we can't tell anybody that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So why not? This is really cool. The prophet has a suitcase. Why does he open it? And what's inside the suitcase? That was like, holy God.
Well, the prophet is someone who has an insatiable appetite.
I like this guy.
Uh, I love him, and he has to look into everything.
Yeah.
And some of the people in his orbit, his friends and his co-workers and such, they know that he just can't leave something alone. Like if you have a box, he has to open the box. It's like a cat, he has the curiosity of a cat times 10.
Yeah.
And so a new arrival at the base has a suitcase, and he is told to put that suitcase into their new house. And I mean, that he's not really thinking about doing that without perhaps taking a peek at the contents, because he is such a curious cat. Hmm.
I
I
would
wonder
be the
what-
same way. I like to know what's going on.
Yeah, well, you wonder what's going in there, but sometimes a suitcase, you know, maybe it won't close right, or maybe it's like you've opened Pandora's box, and
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
Well, the last book I read, somebody opened something and they found some body dead bones.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm telling you, I get everything. There are times that once in a while, I started a book last month, and the book was about people. Once a month, they kill somebody to sacrifice them. For
Oh,
real. That's a true story. Every month, they choose somebody at the end of the month to kill them. I couldn't read it. I,
I would have a problem with that. That
I
would,
could not read it at all. And I read the first part and I said, well, wait a minute. Emailed the publisher, there's no, I gave the book away to somebody else. I wouldn't read it. It was too horrific. And you know what? People get a wrong idea from that too. They could, do whatever after reading something like
well,
that. It's
I
scary.
think when you're an author, you kind of have a responsibility that if you're going to meet
Yeah.
humans, that you don't glorify what they do, and that you kind of got to be a little responsible with your content because you don't want to encourage someone.
Yeah, well, you'll be
So
surprised at some of the stuff I read. I also won't read a book that has a lot of expletives. And I got caught
yeah,
short on one. There was one that had 2,560 F words and about
wow.
4,900 other words. And I got stuck. I posted the review, but I would not post it. I took out the words. I wouldn't
Well,
put the words in there. And it's sort of like too many. It's like it lost something. It was a content, a discussion between a guy and a girl, and every word was whatever. It was horrible.
I mean, that reminds me of my days working kitchens.
Yeah, it was
I
interesting.
remember one time this chef, I mean, he was trying to ask me a question and it had so many four-letter words in it. I raised my hand and I said, "Hi, I need a noun."
Yeah.
You know,
Now, what happens to Vector 1 and do they get to analyze it?
well, occasionally when one of the devices are stolen, they are able to retrieve it because the devices, of course, have been created with mechanisms in it to ensure that they would be found
Hmm.
and that you could retrieve it. And so a device was
Good.
missing, a device was found, and it has information in it to lead them to a retrieval. And so when they get one of these devices back, they look at everything they can from that device because they want to know anything they can about who took it and you know um, and lead them back to the perpetrator if they left any evidence on it and where this device has been because the device can have vestiges of the environments it was exposed to. Like when I lived in Georgia, the pollen was different from here.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and so there's all these different things that you can, look at on something to determine where it was, where it has been. The samples of the soil samples in Georgia, they have a much higher content for clay. Soil is generally comprised of clay, sand,
Yeah.
and then loam. And so you can, if there's a soil sample on that, you can sort of, get some accuracy about where it was. If there's pollen, there's so many different things that could help you zero in on where it was. And then, of course, there's DNA that could tell you who it was.
Now it gets really different. Who is
Mhm.
Melody and her friend Amanda? They go somewhere. And how does Amanda get taken in plain sight?
Well, well, well. There is a vast network of bad folks who do things to enrich themselves. And we all know there's a bar in our neighborhood or something
Yeah.
that's a little shifty.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not just selling beer. Maybe they're selling something else. And, sometimes massage parlors get shut down because they're not just selling massage. And sometimes those little nail places, like, I mean, do you really think they're going to make, $18,000 a month in rent, putting nail polish on people? Maybe they're up to something. So, Amanda um, and her, it turns out, sister happened to go in one of these establishments that during the daytime look like it's okay, but maybe they're doing something else, and maybe by accident they happen to snatch, uh, you know, Melody, perhaps, or Amanda. Like maybe one of the girls hides and gets caught in some of the things that are being stolen. Hmm. Maybe something like that happened. And then all of a sudden, this random bust that happens every day at a bar, and you know, or one of these establishments, and it never really makes the big news because it isn't big news. But maybe one of these, random little things that we hear about all time suddenly turns into big news because a little girl goes missing. Hmm.
Mm. Now somebody takes her, but all of a sudden, because it's a political thing, this congressman decides to get involved. How come? I don't
Well,
like this guy at all.
no, the thing is he winds up being the butt of jokes because he will show up to anything that his staff think would be a good photo opportunity. And so he mistakenly thinks that this might be a good photo op, but he doesn't realize that if you go on a missing child case and you put yourself on stage and, you make yourself look tough and like you're part of going to find this kid and stuff like that,
Mm.
after the pictures are gone, the questions remain, and that they're going to do some follow up with them and be like, hey, it's been like 2 days now. Where is she? And stuff. So sometimes these photo ops that are calculated to be a good move, um, in the long term, might not be a good move because people are asking you for results, and are kind of ticked off that, well, it's been 2 days and we don't have a result yet. What's wrong? And holding you accountable for that. And so be careful what you wish for or let your publicist pose you for, maybe, perhaps.
Now, before I forget, on Thursday,
Hmm.
depending on which side of the political spectrum you are on, the
Hmm.
title this is going to be good. Humpty Trumpty, the second 100 poems of the president's first 6 months, for first 100 days of his administration. They are hysterical. Every poem goes from January 20th to April 30th, and everything that he writes is true that really happened. It's just that how this person dealt with it. It's hilarious. On, yeah, the 5th, we're going to have a book about Black racism and people that are Black that miss out on medical care and school and stuff. It should be quite controversial.
Hmm.
And on the 13th, selected meanderings. It's too much to recall. And the big ones on the 17th, Philip Margolin, false witness. On the 18th, the one and only Janie and Prince. Yeah, she actually, the book is right there. It was printed out. She had it printed out and bound for me because it's not coming out till January. The shop on Hidden Lane. And the biggest author in the world, Peter James, on the 24th. And the
Wow.
character, yeah, she was supposed to go yesterday, but I had to move him. Queen Camilla is the character, and that's just November. I have been threatened with more afterwards, but who knows? We'll see. I've decided when I'm going to retire than doing this or not. I don't know. So we have Venus and Metal Mike have a plan, and what exactly is the vector?
Well, Venus has always had her eye on the vector.
Yeah.
The military, you know, this is their prized invention, and they adapt it a little bit here and there from time to time because they keep trying to make this thing better, um, and to meet their needs. And
Mm.
needs are listed in those spec sheets that they give the military. And the spec sheet is basically a list of attributes that they want the vector to have. And the
Mm.
nice thing of all about the vector, and is that, you know, you can have yourself a completely loyal and obedient army. If you get one of those and if you get it to start cloning itself, that's what you can have. And this is what every leader wants. They don't want the possibility of an overthrow. They don't
Yeah.
want the possibility of someone being a double agent and things like that. They want perfectly loyal, subordinate army that does exactly what you tell it to do. And Venus knows that if she has that, then she's a step ahead of all of these leaders, a step ahead of the cartels. She's a step ahead of, because the cartels in themselves are, some of them are bigger than some country governments. And so she wants to be a step ahead of everyone. And she can only do that if she has a completely loyal and subordinate army. And so Metal Mike, you know, he found a vector that got snatched and then they dropped the ball, so to speak. And so he knows where it is. And he says, Venus, if you join on with me for this last heist, you
Yeah.
are going to have your ball. You will have your army. And she is salivating at that. And she doesn't, maybe she doesn't complete her risk assessment and then just jumps right in because she's like, whatever it is, I'll deal with it because I want the vector.
She was kind of gullible on this one.
Hmm.
Now, we have Clark, and he uses the vector to try to find Amanda. And who is Helene, and how does she come up into this whole thing? Helen, I
Well,
mean.
let me see now. So Mr. Clark is one of the three
Yeah,
scientists,
I like him.
and he's the gentleman over here wearing the helmet.
That's
And
not right.
he he will animate anything that the scientists collectively make. He can
Yeah,
make it subordinate to commands. Like if you were to make a robot, he would be able to make the robot move and do whatever you wanted it to. And I was so happy the other day we filmed new scenes with the scientists to put in the trailer that'll be on the website. Um,
mm,
so I hope your viewers can look at the website because we have a film trailer on there now. Um, one of the goals is, as I said, to make the book series a streaming or film series. And those actors are really a lot of fun, but we have a scene where Mr. Clark is taking microfilaments and implanting them into a device. And
this is unbelievable. And then Venus thinks that she's okay. Then the demons sort of like win this one, don't they?
well,
You don't want to tell them they're alive. Oh my God.
Venus got a little bit too much of, you know, confidence. And we all know that if you have to pull something off, if you have to
Yeah,
pull off some grand heist or some grand project, you have to do all of the back work and all of
yeah,
the assessment to make sure that your thing is going to work. And Metal Mike was a little too confident on this one. And Venus, as always, has been so focused on obtaining the vector because she says, if I had a completely loyal, subservient army of my own that wasn't going to try to overthrow me or anything like that, I can accomplish anything. And so she just didn't do her risk assessment completely. And that may result in a trip very downstairs, as you and I know, down very, very, very downstairs. Which
well, we're
kind
not going to give that away. And I know your father helped, but we're not going to tell how because that would give that away too. Now,
of, mhm.
this was the scene that if I could have filmed it, it was priceless. How did you create the scenes with Helen and Venus and watch her things be sold? I was like, holy God, this is such, you got what you deserve, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, in my culture, I'm Sicilian, and in my culture, we have a saying that revenge is a dish best served cold. And so I kept that in mind when I was writing this book, because I mean, we'd all love to give the villains in our life revenge. And sometimes someone, socks it to us, we want to get them back right now. But the saying, revenge is a dish best served cold, is one of the things I utilize in that book. And so that Venus is going to get socked. And you
No,
are
you don't want it to.
and your heart aches for Helen because Venus used Helen to take some of her punishments and stuff. And so you really want Helen to, give her a smack as well. I mean, you'd like to smack Venus, we all would, but it's especially gratifying to see Helen get to smack Venus. And and she does it in such a way that only Helen could. But we always got to keep in mind that revenge is a dish that's served cold.
I would love to see Venus get her own book.
Well,
She's
you
so
never know. I mean,
evil.
I hope, I'm hoping now, especially, I think maybe this Sunday we may go in to edit the new scenes, and they were tremendously fun to make. And I won't give away everything, but I mean, it has been a lot of fun to create some of the
Yeah,
devices and props, and then,
that's cool. That is so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I had to, only have like one thing in my refrigerator so I could fit one of the props in it. And then driving that, we had to drive really slow here because, like most communities, our streets are like a moonscape. And I was terrified. Oh no, like what if I hit a pothole? What's going to happen to this? This vector replica and stuff. And then we had to clear out another fridge to put it in so it would stay perfect for the filming.
Now, without giving away the ending,
Hmm.
the people from the base, are they done?
Well, at this point, it is a trilogy.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
but in adapting the trilogy to a film and streaming series, the film and streaming series will not be note for note accurate to the book series um, for a couple of reasons. And I know people always say, well, it wasn't exactly like the book when they go see a movie.
Yeah, I know. Well,
There's reasons that authors do that. It's to keep it exciting, especially for those of us who already wrote the book and proofread it 100 times. You know, but once you expand it into a three-dimensional thing that people can see and hear, there's so many more possibilities. And so, it could go on a lot longer as a film and or television series, because there's the characters, and there are the things that the characters are up to. So it can expand upon itself. There's a lot of wiggle room there. There's a lot of room.
how did you create? I was just looking at it again because it made me smile. How did you create the last 4 pages with the kids? I was like, oh my God, my sister would have done that.
Well, the book is constantly sort of a study in a lot of contrasts.
Yeah,
And the military families are the families that we would all almost wish that we had. They were law abiding. You'd want for your neighbor. You really would. The kids are really good. They're obedient. They have
they do
a
good. I love that.
yeah, the kids are great. And and the parents are great too. I mean, good kids don't happen by accident. They happen because there's someone in their lives that is shepherding them in the right direction. And the last 4 pages is what you would expect from the scientists and their kids. It's completely what you would expect from them. And it's so you don't leave the series feeling stressed out or anything like that. The series constantly pivots between heists and high tension things, and then, a family dinner with the scientists and their families and stuff, and how they're, trying to, keep these kids in the right parameters and trying to explain, the craziness that they're caught up in a way that is, you know, putting those kids in the right direction. So there's a lot of humor, and there's, it's not all like bad people doing bad things. It's also these families that are having fun, raising their kids, and um, you know, and then trying to explain some of the madness, and that is always funny too, because they're trying to explain something that crazy that happened, but they're
I
trying to
know.
to a 5-year-old, so they kind of sanitize it a bit, so it's really funny.
So what's next for you? And I think Clark should have his own book. I like the Bug Man.
Oh, thank you. What's next for us is we are editing the scenes that we will add
Good.
onto the trailer that is on the website, which is danteterrace.com. Book 3 is out for sale, and I am proofreading the audio version of book 3, which,
Nice.
yes, the actor is phenomenal. He can do the characters of a man, and then he can do the characters of like a little girl, and with his voice, he's got such,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, his name's Stephen Gannett. He has tremendous range. I'm really thankful to have him. And so we are actively seeking, network people or someone like that to help us make the leap from book series to film series. We filmed the trailer here around the Rust Belt with the actors that are on the book cover to try to create a more polished, if you can say, like, press kit or something for these actors, um, these people who market these film series and stuff to look through. And so the website has overgone a big overhaul since the last time you saw it. We have slides on it that have all these crazy pictures and descriptions of the book
Oh,
series.
nice.
Yeah, so I mean, the pictures from that, some of them are very compelling, and so the website's a lot of fun right now. And so if you want to give that a look, see, you'll have a fun with it.
Well, your review is on my website, and
Thank
I'm
you, I
probably
appreciate
going
it.
to repost it again.
Thank.
And I'm going to put this on LinkedIn, and I guarantee in about 5 minutes there'll be whatever. Let me just end the stream like a good girl.
Okay.
Okay.